Hi guys, welcome back, and today with you I'm going to be reviewing the KZ PR1 Pro. But before I start with that review, I just want to talk to you about two little subjects very briefly. First one, we have over the last year and a half roughly been living a period in the market where specific parts, specific segments of the market and at specific prices, what you're able to get for your money is absolutely unreal. Case in point, earphones. It is not. It has become a norm for you to under $100 to find an IEM that can perform as well or better than many IEMs of $200 a few years ago. It is not become again unusual for you to under $200 to find an IEM that can perform as many IEMs did of $500 just a few years ago. It has not become abnormal for you to find, for example, planars, which until a few years ago were absolutely ridiculous in their prices, and they still are. But it's now not unusual to find a planar at the 110, 150, 160, so under the $200 bracket, that will give you a sound which is very, very comparable with IEMs costing $600, $700, $800. And when you actually compare it to what was available with regards to planars in the smaller size, which IEMs, not headphones, a few years ago, it was absolutely ridiculous. You would pay $7,000, $8,000, $1,000 for some of these planars, and they were absolute garbage. That's the truth. That's saying it as it is. Another segment where this hasn't been so much the case has been with regards to small dongle DAC amps with Bluetooth and so on and so forth. I personally feel that the prices that are being practiced now, or as of late, are just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. To pay in excess of $200 for a BTR7, for example, which is in its right a fantastic little Bluetooth device, mind you. But to pay in excess of that kind of money for that, where for not that much more, you can buy yourself a DAP. It kind of deters from the whole reason of existence of a Bluetooth DAC amp, in my opinion. It's supposed to be a cheap, accessible device, offering a little bit more than what a dongle does in terms of its versatility, but be accessible. So whenever I start seeing dongles and these small Bluetooth dongles costing $250, $300, $400, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Honestly, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. There is nothing that a Ear Studio, the ES100, can do as good as any of those unless I'm going to be in a very ideal listening circumstance with the very best of everything, with trust me when I tell you, a BTR7, and I'm saying the BTR7, I'm saying hi-fi audio, I'm saying any of these very fancy, high-end, expensive stuff, okay, and the normal conditions with which they were designed in their initial premise, which is to be portable, for you to move around with them, for you to go into the subway, for you to go into the, for you to move around. There's nothing that those devices offers more than what does an ES100, a Q X5K, a BTR5, a Shanling UP4. Nothing. Honestly, nothing. Why? They've got 4.4 instead of 2.5. Oh, wow, okay, fine, fantastic. They've got a little bit more power. Oh, wow, okay, fantastic. In real world circumstances, when you're listening to music in the bus, in the subway, wherever you will not notice the difference. You won't. And so I don't understand why you would go and pay so much money. I mean, you can still pick up a Q X5K for just over $100. The same thing with the ES100. These two devices in particular are amazing. I've got two of each. Absolutely amazing devices. Beautiful. I mean, the versatility that they offer with regards to their app is unreal. Parametric equalizing if you want to play around with them. Unreal. I have, and like I did today even, I hooked it up in with a USB mode into my NX7. It is unreal the performance that you can get out of the QLX 5K. No? Same thing, and this is already the latest. I've got two. I've got an older one with the 9218, and I've got the latest one with the 9219 here. The same thing with the ES100 with its AKM chip. Nice, very, very nice. This is the BTR5 with the latest. This is the 2021 version. I got this at a really good price. I got this for just over $100. Really, really good price. And this is a UP4 with the 9218, the old one already, still. Out of all of the latest ones that have been coming out, so UP5, the BTR7, out of these more recent launches, honestly, the only one that I would still contemplating picking up if I just didn't like the ES100 or the QLX for some K is the Shanling, because the Shanling you can have it for just under $200. That's the only one. Otherwise, seriously, if the size doesn't bug you and you want something which is small, it's got more than enough power to get your IEMs going, and it's versatile with regards to its app. Okay, fine. So this has got a very plasticky finish and it doesn't look all robust and so fine. It's $100. I mean, you've got dongles costing that much, which don't offer what this offers. So kind of, I wonder. It makes you think. Anyway, that's that out of the way. I just wanted to quickly touch up on that situation of the Bluetooth dongles. And the fact that yes, we do have a market which is very favorable with regards to certain segments of that said market. On to the KZ PR1 Pro review, and this is, as of now at least, the final final version of what started off with the PLA, the CCA, then evolved into the PR1 Balanced and the PR1 Hi-Fi, which came out at the same time, and then finally now the Pro. And what has happened here is every time they've improved on the tuning. So this was markedly a V-shaped tune, loads of bass. It kind of took away. It was a KZ style tuning, but it took away from the magic of a planar and this and that, and people complained and blah blah blah. I retuned it on another one that I have. I brought down the bass, and honestly, in terms of the mids and highs, it's as good as the majority of the other planars that are around. Actually, the tuning, the energy, everything, it was just that it was plagued by too much bass. Then the Balanced was KZ's attempt at fixing that. They brought down the bass. They tidied up the upper mids and highs, because also again there was some complaints about it being too bright, the PLA being too bright, too excessive, too fake. You could feel the timbre of the planar at play, and yes, it was true, and it's one of those things that you either like or you don't like, but very much like BA timbre. Then they came out with the Hi-Fi, which for me was perfect, and at $65 or whatever that you could initially buy it for, it was a no-brainer. For those that just could not afford more, this was without a doubt, for me at that time, the best KZ that they had ever made. Okay, and the cheapest and best planar that you could buy. Bang for the buck was unreal, and it kept up with planars way more expensive. Enter the PR1 Pro. PR1 Pro is this with, again, a further few touches up. They've just touched down on the bass just slightly. It's just a very minor touch on the bass. They've just cleared up and made it more polished, is in the mids, upper mids especially, and in the highs. PR1 Pro is legit. It is a legit planar. Yes, fine. I'm the age that I am, and high frequencies perhaps are already not what they used to be. But for me personally, this has more than enough high frequencies, and it's more than quality and polished enough for me to consider it well tuned. It's well done. I didn't find it to be aggressive. I didn't find it to be harsh or sharp or nothing. On occasional songs, I found it yes to be just a little bit fake. It added a little bit too much, a little bit extra energy to the highs, which was unnecessary. All right, that was the only thing. But otherwise, bass is really well executed. It can at times again as well, because of, I'm guessing, being a planar driver, because of the whole cohesion of the way that the tuning has been done, it can at times sound a little bit cold, okay? But it's got plenty of weight. It's got a really nice tonality. Mids, vocals, female and male vocals are, in my opinion, very nice. In terms then of its technicalities, and by technicalities I'm talking obviously soundstage, imaging, detail retrieval, all of that stuff, it does it without flaw, especially when you consider that you can pick this up for around $80 easily, 70 in the high 70s, $80. You can pick up a PR1 Pro. And for those that do not have more money, for those of you that's the limit, and honestly, and not even for those that do not have more money, for those that want to try a really good planar IEM at a accessible price, the PR1 is really it's a no-brainer. Honestly, it's a no-brainer. Okay, forget the rest if you don't want to go for the rest, because they might not be your cup of tea. This one, in terms of tuning, it's the best tuned out of all, the most coherent, and everything that it does it beautifully, and for the price, no complaints. Compared to some of the market planar availables, compared to the Stellaris, yes, you do notice that the Stellaris is perhaps a little bit more resolving, but at the cost as well of it not scaling as well as the KZ. The Pro scales very nicely. This, once you really start pushing the volume, it's going to start biting you. It doesn't have the bass that the KZ has, and that's I guess its biggest flaw, because if it had a little bit more bass, it could counteract that excessive energy that it has in the upper frequencies, upper mids especially. So honestly, fair enough, you can pick this up for under $100. Between the two, I'll be very honest with you, I would take the PR1, no question. Compared to the Duno, the Talos, yes, again, we have an IEM here, which is more resolving, it's more detailed. In terms of its technicalities, it does edge out the PR1. It does, I'm not going to deny it. Does it edge it out to justify its price? No, it doesn't. Does it have an overall presentation which is conducive with its price? No, it doesn't. So overall, honestly, I would still think that the PR1 would be a safer bet. It's got more value for your money, without a doubt. Enter now one of my favorite ones, which is the P1 Max. And here is the first time that I'm going to say to you, keeping in mind what I've already said before about the P1 Max, which is this needs power, okay? It's a planar, it needs power. This talk of, oh no, you connect it to your phone and it will, nah, wrong. It needs power. All the aforementioned Bluetooth dongles capable enough? Yes, they are capable enough. Does it handle more? Yes, it does handle more. And with power, this thing is an absolute beast, period. It stands with the best planars in the market. It will stand, in my opinion, quite easily next to the Heyday, the Buzetti and the Heyday, quite easily with the S12 Pro, quite easily with the F1 from Nice HIFIGO, quite easily with the Timeless. I haven't heard the Timeless AE, but with the Timeless, very easily it keeps up with it and exceeds it. And it's one of my favorite planars, so I think that in itself says a lot. This one, the P1 and the KZ, actually have a very similar sound. Why? Because although, yes, this seems flat, the overall balance between the whole frequency range is very much the same kind of balance that's been done there. It's just honestly an amazing IM. And you know, you can pick this up. I've seen this as low as $85 at LINSOUL. For that price, no brainer. Honestly, no brainer. So this is a valid option if you can get it for like a really good price. Definitely a valid and a solid option in terms of planars. S12 Pro, yes, overall it is a superior IEM to the KZ. You can pick this up now. I've seen it at 145, if I'm not mistaken, from Angel Ears Audio Store. LINSOUL and HIFIGO have also had some deals going on this. I'm not sure if they're still going on, but overall, in terms of its performance, it is an IM which is more capable than the PR1, the Pro. It is. It does offer, yes, a more solid construction. It does offer this nice, in terms of its accessories, the nice stock cable, modular setup, and so on and so forth. It is, in terms of sound, trading blows. The same thing like the P1 Max. They trade blows. Ultimately, I would take the P1 Max. The S12, they trade blows. Ultimately, probably I would pick this up. Just in terms of sound, I would say this is superior. But the KZ just has the fact that it's got a crazy price going for it. And honestly, I would say that 85% of the time you will not be able to differentiate with them. Especially like I said before, if you listen to this in a subway, trust me, you will not tell the difference. You won't. Finally, the HAKUGEI, which has been now the talk of the town. How does the HAKUGEI compare to the PR1 Pro? The one area where it was quite noticeable that this is not as, it's not that it's not as good, it just doesn't have as much energy, is in the highs. For some reason which I just can't explain, to be honest, when I listen to the P1 Max or when I listen to the S12 Pro, you notice that they have, yes, a darker kind of presentation. It's not a presentation which has got all that high frequency energy as you find in the PR1 and the Pro, but for some reason which I cannot really put my finger on, you do not notice a difference which is as significant as it is with the HAKUGEI. With the stock original Wuzetian, no, the original Wuzetian, it's basically the same as the PR1. This one, because of this slight adjustment that's been done to the retuning, and I'm guessing that's really the only reason why it just feels a little bit more closed in, more dark, not as ultimately as detailed. You can pick up on the twinklies and the sparklies here very well. You can pick up on the twinklies and the sparklies on the P1 very nicely. The same thing with the S12, and yeah, you can as well, but it's just slightly behind. Overall, yes, it is a superior IM. It is. It also costs $150 odd, so it should as hell be better than the PR1. And that's it. I mean, I think I've positioned the PR1 Pro very nicely and in a very open and sorry about that. I think I've positioned the PR1 in a very open and frank way. It's unquestionably the best planar IM from KZ to date. It is most probably lacking or pending. I listened to one or the latest releases from KZ, which is a ZAR. Pending me listening to that, it is for me, the PR1 Pro, it is the best KZ ever. Best KZ ever. And compared to some of the market planars, some of them just they are better in certain aspects, yes, but overall they just cannot keep up. This cannot keep up because of the crazy price. This cannot keep up because it just, in sound wise, when you really just goes out of context. Others are better, yes, and here it is a question of how much money or how much are you willing to spend. The P1 Max, the price difference is not so significant, and you know, it's whichever one you actually prefer. The S12 Pro and the Wuzetia and the Heyday Edition, price does become an option, a factor, sorry, because they are significantly more expensive. They're about twice the price, so you have to factor in if you are prepared to pay that extra. But to a large extent, that extra is justified by better accessories, okay, and as well a better overall sound, okay. Under ideal conditions, yes, you will see that the S12 Pro and the Heyday are superior sounding IMs to the PR1 Pro. But the truth, and in conclusion, is the PR1 is a safe, solid planar. I mean, honestly, no, not even a question of I'm not sure. No, it's solid. Trust me, it's solid. It's a properly designed IM in terms of its driver. It's probably the only one that's been designed in-house right now. It's properly designed in terms of its hardware. It's properly tuned, and it's got a very competitive price, so you can't really go wrong. Anyway, guys, I'll quickly show you the graphs next, and yeah, and that's it. All right, take care. Bye-bye. Hi, guys, and welcome now to the graph section of my KZ PR1. And straight away, we're greeted with the graph of the PR1 Pro. And as you can see, nice enough graph, apparently still very boosted in the bass, but everything stays within a nice 10 dB barrier, so you know, not offensive in any way. Sub bass, nice transition to the mid bass, almost flat at 300 Hz, so no real bleeding to the mids, smoothish enough pinna gain. Then plateaus right across the board, and just, I mean, basically you've got energy all the way out to about 16K roughly. That's the original one. Well, the original one. That's the PR1 Pro. Sorry, this is the PR1 Hi-Fi, which of the two previous intermediate versions. So between the CCA, PLA, and the Pro, this was the best one until then. But still not the ideal, because everything was within, well, to start with was within about 12 dBs, so more energetic. It wasn't so much this area here that was a problem, but it was more this whole section here between 2 and, well, 2 and all the way out that was the problem. It was just overly energetic, and this amount, especially here, was very much felt. You could sense that planar tonality. But the truth is, with the foam tips, it calmed things down a little bit, and it was actually the best planar they had, and it was the best value for money until the Pro came out. But the Pro came out, and that's it. The Pro, for me, as of now, is the best planar that they've done. Compared to some of the stuff that I mentioned on the review, one of them, for example, was the Duno Talus. This is the Talus, and you can see straight away that the Talus is more resolving. It's got more detail. It's got more of that whole upper frequency going on. Not because it's got more than the PR1, no, because it's got a hell of a lot less bass than the PR1 Pro. A hell of a lot. So that just opens up the whole spectrum up top. And it comes across as more detailed. It comes across as more resolving, you know, everything. Look, it speaks for itself. The other one, which was also mentioned in my review, was the Stellaris. Let me just change the color quickly. And the Stellaris, although in the bass it is less energetic, especially in the mid bass, it's not there that's the issue. It's then up top that things just really get out of whack, and it kind of has the same amount of energy as the PR1 Hi-Fi, which it's just too much. At lower volumes it's fine, but then when you start cranking up the volume, it just becomes a mess, and I guess it again speaks for itself. The next ones are the ones that were obviously the better comparisons, First one was with the P1 Max, and the P1 Max, the amazing thing about it, honestly, because it is amazing, and I know there's a lot of people out there that don't really like the set, but it's the fact that everything sits within a 7 dB window to start with. And I've said it before, you can have a tuning which apparently seems very wacky, but if everything is within a very tight window, it sounds good. Case in point, ISN H50. That's one example. And this is another example. It just sounds so good. It's not this drop here that is noticeable, or that it's kind of, oh no, no. This here, you don't notice it. It's got more than enough bass, more than enough. There's very little info in music at 20 or 30 hertz. So this drop off here slightly from the peak at around 50 hertz, this drop off here like a dB, it's not noticeable really. So it's got really nice bass. It's fast. It's clean, detailed, resolving, no bleed into the mids, because by 300 it's basically flat. Very nice and smooth pinna gain, stays nice and smooth right across. Everything just comes out so well done in the P1. Really, I know that tastes are tastes and we don't all like the same thing, but it's just such a nice set. So P1, top marks in my books. And then the other set that I also mentioned was the Tangzu. Well, both of them, although I just showed you the Heyday edition. So I'm going to actually show you first the Heyday edition. That's the Heyday edition, and as you can see, what a surprise. Basically the same kind of mids right across here, a little bit less energetic, which you do notice it, if you remember from what I said earlier. And then the bass, yes, a little bit less bass as well. Although this here is not as noticeable as this. Okay, and the Wu Zetian, but the original version, that's the one that is like the real kicker, and that's why I mentioned that the PR1 Pro is very much tuned like the Wu Zetian, the original, the first version of the Wu Zetian. Bass, the way the pinna is done, the way that it then shoots across the dip, the peak again. This I think is enough to show everyone and to prove to everyone that the PR1 Pro is a legit planar driver, well tuned, plays well, crazy good price. It's really a no-brainer. Yes, the Heyday is better because the Heyday has polished up certain details. But hey, it's like everything. Who's to tell me that you actually don't prefer the original tuning better? You know, who? So Heyday is more audiophile tuned, although some people might not agree with that. But in my opinion, I find it's a more coherently, more balanced out tuning. The original Wu Zetian is more fun, more engaging, more harmonish. Let's put it that way. Okay. And the PR1 Pro follows the same kind of philosophy, and it's honestly, it's a really good planar. It's well, I'm not even going to put it in terms of really good planar. It's a really good earphone, the best KZ to date, in my opinion, by far. I'm waiting on, like I said, I'm waiting on just listening to the ZAR, but I have my doubts that the ZAR will beat it. But yeah, slowly KZ is cementing itself as capable of not only just churning out earphones by the thousands, but churning out earphones that can really play well. And boys and girls, he has one of them. Guys, any questions, please feel free to ask. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.